Usually out of frustration, anger, and spite, I ended up building it myself and then just releasing it. The easiest way to install it on my other projects was to make it open source and to like put it on NPM. I shipped an actual website, and then now apparently I'm an open source developer. There's so many good people who want to like come together and build something that's like bigger than themselves. I think that's probably why I've stuck with it.
I genuinely believe that the best way to build great products is to build products for yourself. Like actually be the end user, match the persona, be the consumer. That way, you're definitely going to hit the mark with a lot higher probability.
That's basically been all of my open source work. It's like, it's never stuff that I thought I would ship, and I never thought people would use it. I just wanted an easy way to like distribute it to myself on other projects because they were all just like problems that I was having.
Yeah, let's talk about open source, by the way. It's really, really good to lead into that. So we got NextForge, we got Kibo, we got, what was that workflow builder you mentioned? There's a really, really interesting set of projects. Walk us through your journey to open source. How the hell did you decide to start open sourcing stuff?
I almost forgot this, but I actually did open source a long time ago when Google was working on its like web starter kit. I don't know if you remember that. That was like really far back in the day. But I used to do open source automation tooling and like contribute to that like Yeoman. It was like a task runner type stuff. I used to do a lot of open source work towards that. And then I just fell out of the open source ecosystem. But I came back into it recently because, I would be like building an app, for example, and then I would have like a particular component that I needed or a tool that I needed. And so I ended up, usually out of frustration, anger, and spite, I ended up building it myself and then just releasing it. And like I said, the easiest way to install it on my other projects was to make it open source and to like put it on NPM. And then, they started picking up. So, Kibo and Ultrasite and that sort of started picking up. So I, shipped documentation, I shipped an actual website, and then now apparently I'm an open source developer.
Yeah, it's always been really easy where it's like, when I was, this was like 5 years ago, I was like, I would make all these little GitHub tools because this is when I was really into like pen testing and like ethical hacking. And I was making all these little cool tools for that type of stuff. And I was like, how can I get this onto like my Kali machine without having to like sign into my Google and all that other stuff? I'm like, oh, wait, I can just throw this on like NPM or something like that. It helped, but then it also taught me a ton about like the NPM and GitHub ecosystem. So I think that I do think that's really interesting.
As a whole, the open source ecosystem is really cool, and I really enjoy working in it. Like, there's so many good people who want to like come together and build something that's like bigger than themselves, and I think that's probably why I've stuck with it.
It definitely is like one of the things where it's like you use it because you have to, but you stay because you like it. I think that encompasses it really, really well.
Today's episode is sponsored by Inbound, my own product. Inbound is the best way to send and receive emails, all through a super developer-friendly API and SDK. You can set up webhooks on email addresses to trigger certain actions, or even integrate with your existing AI platform. Try it out today at inbound.new.
So NextForge blew up. What was your focus in optimizing on NextForge? Was it just like for budget, routing, auth? What was the focus? Or was it like an all-encompassing type of thing?
Yeah, no, actually, I can tell you a good story about that. It's so actually right now I'm working on a Turbo Repo course for Vercel. I actually remember the day that I switched to Turbo Repo because I was a really slow adopter, right? Like I was on like a polyrepo setup for the longest time, and like I didn't want anything to do with that like monorepo nonsense. That it didn't fit my like mental pattern of having all the repos together. It's like every GitHub repo needs its own like project. But I was in the back of an Uber in Germany, and there was a really big problem in one of the open source like apps that I was building. And so to fix it, I had to do a commit to the first project, wait for that to deploy, and then I had to pull from that into the second project, do that, deploy. There were 7 projects, and this took me, I think I got like 3 projects into it, and I got so annoyed and so frustrated that I literally Googled like how to convert to monorepo in the Uber. It was a very long Uber ride, by the way. I Googled
like, how quick are you doing this? He's like, boom, 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 boom.
This was from like Nuremberg to Munich or something like that. So it was like an hour and something or other. But yeah, I had to Google like how to switch to monorepo, how to switch, learn what turbo repo is. And I actually converted the entire repo to a turbo repo on the ride.
Okay. How long was this Uber ride now? I'm genuinely like...
It's about 2 hours, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. You can see the Git history. It's just me getting really annoyed.
That's funny. The commit messages slowly going from like civilized, like feet, to just freaking push it.
Yeah,
Happens to all
it
of
went
us.
from conventional to unhinged commits.
That's too good.
Yeah, I mean, that app, like I ended up really, really liking Turbo Repo as I built that app. And I tried to create my own structure for it where it's like every vendor that I use, you know, Clerk was my auth provider and, you know, like Neon or whatever was my database provider. And I liked the idea. I liked the idea of having them all as like isolated packages. And so they all manage their own keys. They all manage their own providers and dependencies and whatever. And so, and I liked that pattern so much that I extracted it into a boilerplate, like a Turbo Repo boilerplate. And I ended up open sourcing that. That was NextForge. Ended up becoming way more popular than the project itself.
It's always the weird side project that like takes off for some reason. That just like you think you're going to be working on project A, but then project B starts out of a struggle that you had with project A, and then project B just skyrockets.
Well, what do you mean for some reason? It's the same thing, right? Building products for yourself, building products with a problem you experienced that you empathize with. So you're a fan of motor repos then, huh?
I am now, yeah. Mega fan.
Yeah, Turbo Repo is cool. I use it all the time. Whenever I have to deal with a motor repo and a Node.js adjacent, you know, environment, it definitely is Turbo Repo for sure.
I definitely didn't think anyone would be using it though, because it's like, so it's I called it production grade because it's got like 20 or something packages and 7 apps, like all out of the gate. And it's all designed to, it's just still designed to be a starter kit at that size. And so I went into it thinking like nobody else is ever going to use this because it's way too over the top. And I did the same thing for UltraSite, which is another tool that I'm working on. Originally, that was like a 3,000 line ESLint config. I'm like, nobody's ever going to use this. But for some reason, the presets and the like really strong foundations are the things that people seem to really stick with.
Another project that fascinates me is Kibo, the collection of ShadCN components. And I'm really, really curious how that one came to live. How did you come up with it?
Yeah, so ironically, that was the same project, the 7-app monorepo project. It was it's like the foundation for all of my best work now. It was like, it was an alternative to Product Board, which is like an app that product managers use to, you know, figure out the roadmap for their engineering teams and like process incoming feedback and all that sort of stuff. I was trying to build basically clones of like Linear's Gantt chart because it was, it's like super, super nice. And then, you know, a calendar system and like a Kanban list and basically like, you know, Trello, Jira, like just ways of, you know, mapping out tasks. And I was going through all the libraries that were available, and there were 2 sorts. There were the ones that were based on Canvas, and they had like 0 customizability because they were just packaged up in NPM and there's just no, like they didn't accept the props to like style it the right way or whatever. Or there's really good ones out there, like really, really good ones, but you actually have to pay like $3,000 or something for the license to use it. And I'm like, I'm not doing either of those. So once again, out of anger, frustration, and spite, I'm just like, I am going to create an open source version of this one, but 2, it's going to be ShadCN style where you can customize it at every single layer. You can delete entire parts out of it. You can add stuff to it and it's all fine. So those 5 components were, it was originally called Roadmap UI, but there was like the foundation of what Kibo is now. And then over time, I was just like, you know, more and more patterns that I'm seeing across the apps that I use. I'm like, you know, if I can extract this, if I can make it into a ShadCN-esque component, then maybe other folks can benefit from that too.